All right, so in my scavenger hunt today, I found a Masirane pollen wasp. Yes, the pollen wasps. As wasps, they share a common relative with the bees and the ants, and they are from the Hymenoptera lineage, whereas the Masrinae is what it's classified as from the Vispidae family, as they collect pollen from a select group of plants, and their presence are good defense against predators or anybody who they may feel like they're in danger by. And bees tend to be fuzzy, but the pollen wasp external tissue is smoother and bright, and its adaptation to attracting its species, as you can see the bright colors around it, similar to bees, but however this is a pollen wasp, and pollen wasps are also, pollinators as well. Whereas for my presentation, what I was able to do was so here I found a pollen wasp transferring pollen, as pollen wasps love sweet nectar, and these pollen wasps perform the same ecological roles as bees. As you can see, they're pollinating a diverse array of plants. And once again, here we see the pollinator wasps as it transfer the pollen from one dicock to another. And the flight is the key to the success of the pollen wasps for the transfer of pollination. The wings are an extension of the cuticle, as it has a stingray for defense against predators or threats. It is membranous with hind wings. And as I got closer, it sensed me and started to act defensive, as it is territorial. Whereas the pollen wasps, if you're allergic to pollen, or even to a wasp in general, it could be very dangerous in your garden. Whereas this is my very backyard as Florida. And its natural habitat is on land in sheltered areas or underground in muddy holes. And here I found it in this grassy area right here. Fortunately, it wasn't, in my patio or anything like that. But as we could see, the pollen wasps, they form nests similar to bees, and the queen is basically one of the dominant species as the pollen wasps, whereas colonies usually only last 1 year and they die off in the winter. So being that it is spring season, it's a wonderful time to have you know, pollen wasps, flying around, as this is a sign that their colony is now thriving. So their season is typically from spring to fall, which is their climate, and then in winter they typically die off. Whereas their species does have separate males and females to reproduce, and new queens and males are produced towards the end of summer, and after mating, the queens hibernate over winter in the cracks or other sheltered locations. And you know, this was a good scavenger hunt for myself in general. Whereas I was able to find I thought it was a bee at first. However, after I did my research, I noticed it was the pollen wasps, mainly because of the smooth structure, as you can see here. And yeah, so if you could look at how bright and smooth it is, you could see the distinguished features from the pollen wasps and the bees. And another important thing about its life cycle is that it undergoes complete metamorphosis, whereas whereas the nests of most species are constructed out of mud. And once again, the main important thing about these species are that, they're pollen vectors, So great pollinators, and they collect pollen from a select group of plants, as it hates red flowers as well. That's another thing that I learned about pollen wasps, as you will normally see them around these bright orange or yellow colored pollen dicot plants or monocot plants. However, red is not a feature that the pollen wasps or Masirane love to feed off of, as their bright yellow colors here, you know, kind of reflects their diet as well. And the main important thing about the pollen wasps is, like we learned about them from, you know comprising of the arthropod, the major arthropod phylum, as they're insect species as well with wings, which gives them the opportunity to flee and fly, as we can see here. So yeah, so this was the genus species Masirane pollen wasps that I found in my very back Florida backyard, as I live in Point Siena, Florida, so there's a lot of bushy areas in the back, whereas pollen wasps, they can be territorial. Good thing I didn't get stung by it, as I was just trying to capture better visual, as you can see, its advancement, how it's going from pollen to pollen.